Leo Jerez. I wanted to know more about the superpower building and what are the new strange superpower things that Scientologists are supposed to learn there. All right, Leo, well, I happen to know you're fairly new to this whole Scientology watching thing because we've just actually recently connected on Facebook. And you've had a lot of questions, and this one is a particularly interesting one. Superpower is a fairly complicated and advanced series of actions that are done in Scientology in order to supercharge, quote unquote, a Scientologist. Originally, L. Ron Hubbard conceived of superpower as the humongous rundown, is what he called it, and it was an establishment action for staff members. It was not meant to be delivered to Scientology public. Hubbard was frustrated and upset about noncompliance and about staff members not being able to read well, do their jobs well. It looked like, he was upset about the fact that they would be doing some work, looking right at something and not seeing it, or not being able to learn or process information well. And this was all in the late 1970s that he was making these observations and coming up with this idea of how to help people by boosting the staff members' ability to perceive their environment, have their attention, is what's called in Scientology, being in present time, having their attention in the here and now and being mindful of their surroundings and having some degree of situational awareness. He wanted staff members to be competent, and he wanted them to be able to be literate. And he continually was running into instances where these were not the case. And so he put together a series of actions, actually. The superpower rundowns were one of those things. There was another thing he did called the Key to Life course, which was supposed to teach basic grammar and communication and literacy. And there was the life orientation course, which was supposed to sort of get a person's head on straight as regards their entire life, kind of put their life under a microscope, go over every part of it, sort it out, organize it, put it together. These were concepts Hubbard came up with. It was up to the Sea Org members over the next many years to take these concepts and put them into written form and write issues and write lesson plans and books and exercises that people in Scientology could do in order to boost their grammar skills, their communication skills, their life skills, and then finally with superpower, really supercharge their perceptions, their sense of ethics and moral compass, and their ability to read and understand things and get things done. Superpower is not about, none of these things I'm talking about are about getting you spiritually enlightened in the same way that the OT levels exist. Those are a whole different thing. The OT levels, the operating thetan levels, going clear, that's all the Scientology bridge. These things you can do, they're voluntary. You don't have to do the Key to Life course or the life orientation course or superpower in order to get to OT and go on up that bridge to total freedom. These are supposed to boost your powers and help you in your day-to-day life. And like I said, originally, these were for staff members. But David Miscavige, being the way that he is, and Scientology being the money-making scam that it is, it's all about the Benjamins. So these services, which were meant to help the staff, were basically taken by David Miscavige after Hubbard died in '86, and he decided that he was going to make these services public services that they were going to pay a tremendous amount of money for. The Key to Life course was $5,000. Life orientation course, I think, was another $1,000. And superpower is, I don't know how much they charge for it, because it's a mix of auditing actions and what are called establishment officer actions, where somebody sits across from you and walks you through different things. It's different from auditing. It's more of a training kind of activity. And so superpower is a mix of this stuff. Now, I'm not going to break down every single rundown, because it's beefy. There's a lot to superpower, and also some of it's conjecture, because we don't have the existing present-time materials leaked out of the church of what superpower consists of. We just have photographs and pictures of the delivery spaces, and we know from people who were in the church back in the day who originally put this stuff together what these rundowns or actions consist of. So briefly, there are actions like the ethics and justice rundown, where a person is, this is an audited action in Superpower, where a person is audited on past incidents where they were run through the ringer or, made to suffer injustices, either at the hands of Scientology or otherwise, in their life. That's just the first step. Then there's other actions you do. Now, the most famous of them, and the one that's talked about the most, is the perception rundown. L. Ron Hubbard claimed that we have way more than just 5 basic senses. And common sense shows that, of course, we do. We have, there's other perceptions we have, like air pressure or density, muscle density, body position is a you're aware of what position your body is in, right? This could be a perceptic, I suppose. It's not necessarily a medium of perception, but it's something you would be aware of and and perceive. The oiliness of something, the taste of something can be broken down into different, sour, sweet, right? Pain is a perception. It's kind of different from anything else. Heat, cold, on and on and on. Hubbard listed out about 75 of these things. And the perception rundown of Superpower is supposed to drill you or get you practicing using all of these perceptions, including your theta perceptions, which is, you as a spiritual entity perceiving things. So all of this stuff is kind of covered in this Superpower rundown, okay? It's extensive. It costs thousands and thousands of dollars to do, and now it is basically being offered at the Flag Service Organization in Clearwater. And I want to, just in case I'm not being, not clear on this from the whole thrust of my channel, none of this stuff actually works, okay? This isn't stuff that is actually going to supercharge you. I did the Key to Life course and the Life Orientation course, and they were helpful. They absolutely were. I understand grammar better than I would have if I had not done that class. But to think that was, some life-changing event that was, that set my life on a whole new path, and now I have the key to life. I mean, okay, I can communicate better. That's pretty much what I got out of that course, because I understand nouns, adverbs, pronouns, etc. Right? So it's a good thing to know, but it's not like, the walls come tumbling down and everything in your world is just totally rocked by doing these things. So, I'm talking about this stuff and describing it in such a way that it might sound kind of interesting and, wow, maybe I wouldn't mind doing something like that. But no, that's not my message here. All right, so the other thing about the Superpower building, it's this gigantic construct in the middle of Clearwater. It's this huge, huge building that they literally did build from the ground up. That building is 100% designed by Scientology. And the top floor of that building is dedicated to the delivery of what's called the Cause Resurgence Rundown. So in that building, you have all the usual Scientology services being offered. You have Superpower being delivered in the special places where it's, like all the perceptic stuff, that's a big deal there. And then you have this Cause Resurgence Rundown. And this consists of a big, wide, open space. The top floor is mainly a big, wide, open space, not very well lit, apparently. And there's a pole or beam of light in the middle of the room. And what you do is you run around it in circles. And I don't mean like right up on it. I mean, I guess you're a little bit distance away, but you're running and running and running. It was originally called the running program. And you run for hours. You run, you walk. I mean, it's not like they're, whipping you and beating on you to keep running. But the idea is that you keep going. And what you're supposed to be doing with this is it's supposed to be reminiscent of times way, 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 millions and millions and trillions of years ago, where you as a spiritual entity were stuck going around, a sun or being fixated on objects or being stuck and not being able to perceive or move around or have the full benefit of your senses and perceptions and abilities. What this Cause Resurgence Rundown is supposed to do is resurge or rehabilitate your ability to be a causative being. And you do this by running around this beam of light or pole in the middle of the room until you know, have some kind of it moment, epiphany, where you realize that, you know, hey, wow, now I can be, you know, more causative. I'm the one moving this body around, and you know, this kind of nonsense. So, so that is the other thing that's delivered in that superpower building that is not delivered anywhere else in the world of Scientology. Nowhere else in Scientology can you do the superpower rundowns, or can you do the cause resurgence rundowns, except in Clearwater at the superpower building. All right, and that is my rundown on that.